Hello everybody, have you guys lost faith in humanity? No? Well, guess what? I did, and you're gonna suffer with me. Oh my goodness, I got an absolute doozy of a video for you guys today, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you might just lose faith in all of humanity after this video is over. But anyways, let's get into it. So there's this trial that is going on right now that involves a woman by the name of Lindsay Clancy, and to put it simply, this woman essentially murdered her 3 children, and all 3 of her children were 5 years and younger. Just truly a horrific crime. And then after she was done doing that, she actually tried to commit... I'll probably have to bleep that word out because I don't think that works well with YouTube's algorithm or with their bots that detect bad things in videos, so I'm probably gonna have to censor that word out. But yeah, but she tried to do it by jumping out of the second story of her home, but she actually only paralyzed herself from the waist down. And the thing is that when I say accused of committing this crime, I put that in quotation marks because her defense team actually is taking the EDP route, and they're not even trying to deny that she did this. Like, they're not denying that she killed her 3 children. What they are instead arguing is the motive behind it. Apparently, they're trying to argue that the medications and the post-pregnancy depression, it has a name. I'm not too sure how to say it. I'm just gonna put the name of it up here on the screen when I do find the name. But yeah, so apparently they're trying to claim that that was the reason she murdered her 3 children. And you know, a logical person like myself or like you guys watching this video would probably say to yourselves, well, that's pretty dumb. If you murder 3 kids, you're immediately life in prison, and heck, in some states you'd probably be put up for execution. But nope, there are so many people online right now that are actually defending this woman. They're actually defending her and saying that she is completely innocent and should be let free. That is honestly one of the most disturbing things I have ever seen, and we're gonna look at all of it today. Okay, so I'm sorry if this video is already sounding super depressing, but hey, I came across this and I want to share this with you guys. So let's get into these examples I have. There are hundreds of people showing up right outside of the courthouse to support Lindsay Clancy. And again, let me tell you this right now, they're not denying. Nobody is denying, not the supporters and not the defense team. They're not denying that she committed this crime. They're not denying that she killed her children. What they are supporting is the fact that, we know the struggles of motherhood and that's why we support her. It's like, what? This is totally insane how you could defend such a horrendous action.
Hundreds of people, mostly women, have gathered outside of the Plymouth Superior Courthouse to show their support for Lindsay Clancy.
It felt like the system failed her. She was begging for help but no one was there. I don't know if us being here will make her feel any better, but I mean, she's living in hell right now.
Just wanted to support Lindsay and just say it could be, you know, one of my sister-in-laws, it could be one of my best friends, and it could be me. So just here to support.
We are hearing her. We see that she tried everything. And I really do believe that she went into a state of psychosis.
But it gets even worse when you go online, because when you go online, there are hundreds of thousands of comments, posts, TikTok videos, everything like that, that just shows all these crazy... Okay, I'm just gonna be very blunt. It's women. It's mostly women that are supporting Lindsay Clancy. Like, I'm just gonna have to be very blunt right now. It's mostly women that are just supporting Lindsay Clancy. But so there are hundreds of thousands of these women that are just coming out and just supporting Lindsay Clancy for no reason. And I felt like I wanted to make a video about this because this is kind of similar to what happened to EDP 445. One thing that I forgot to mention again in the documentary that I made about him was that EDP, when he was outed for his crime, there were actually still some people who still supported him. And whenever he actually does these comebacks to the internet, he actually still does get a following to this day. And I don't know how that's possible. Now, granted, it is a small following, but it's still a following nonetheless. But this completely blows any type of following that EDP has gotten since his, you know, let's just say his cupcake incident. This support that Lindsay Clancy is getting from all of these women completely blows any type of support that EDP has been getting over the years since his, you know, big bust, his cupcake incident. And let's just take a look at some of these posts and some of these videos, shall we? Justice for Lindsay, Cora, Dawson, And Kalan, you are a survivor and we are all behind you. The truth will come to light. What truth? You mean the truth of this woman murdering her 3 children? Oh, and by the way, that's actually a conspiracy theory that's going around, is that supposedly the husband murdered the children and that they're just blaming Lindsay for it, which again, I don't even know how that's possible because the defense isn't even trying to argue that Lindsay didn't do it. Remember, I'm gonna keep on reminding you throughout this entire time, the defense isn't denying that Lindsay did it. They're just trying to argue the reasoning and the motive behind it. They're not actually trying to deny that Lindsay did it. So it's actually crazy that this person right here will actually say the truth will come to the light. And that kind of leads me into this other video right here, which by the way, I had to get rid of the audio because there was music and I didn't want this video to get copyrighted right here. And in this video, it says she's about to be jailed for life for something her husband did. What did her husband do? Oh yeah, her husband was out grocery shopping while she committed this horrendous crime. And by the way, that actually shows a lot of malicious intent right there. The fact that she actually specifically waited for him to leave the house, and not only waited for that, apparently she also checked to see what was the ETA of him going to the grocery store and coming back. And she apparently calculated all of this right here in terms of how long all of this was gonna take, and that just further supports the claim that this was clearly malicious intent. And yes, we will get into the claim of medication and post-birth trauma and all that right there, but it's just absolutely insane that they would actually go with this post right here saying that her husband is the one that did it, when again, let me rephrase it, the defense isn't even denying that she did it. They're not even denying that. They're saying full well, yes, she did do it. They're just trying to argue the motive behind it, which is just so insane. But you know what's even more insane is the fact that there's actually a GoFundMe that has been set up for this woman. That's right, there is a GoFundMe right now that was set up for this woman, and it has raised $857,502, and apparently the intended goal is 2 million, meaning there are people out there right now that want to give this woman $2 million for killing her 3 children. What have we come to as a society? What have we come to where now we're essentially rewarding killers, essentially? Like, what the heck? And what's strange is that I'm pretty sure GoFundMe actually has some strict rules against sending money to people who are on trial, people who are being tried for really serious crimes and things like that. I'm pretty sure GoFundMe has rules against that. Now, I know other sites like Give, Send, Go are kind of different. They're more lenient on stuff like that, where if someone's on trial for a crime and you want to send them money, I know Give, Send, Go is definitely much more lenient on that, but GoFundMe, I'm pretty sure they have strict rules against sending money to people who are on trial for serious crimes. Yet, for some reason, this GoFundMe page is allowed to stay up, which is just absolutely insane. And like I said, I don't know what's more insane, the fact that there's actually a GoFundMe that's set up for this woman, or the fact that people have already raised $857,502 for this woman at the time of this recording. So by the time this video actually gets posted, it could probably be even bigger.
The Lindsay Clancy trial is going to be one of the most significant trials of your lifetime. We are all experiencing something completely unprecedented. Never before have we seen so many mothers and women rally behind somebody who confessed to killing her 3 children. And it is not because we cannot hold women accountable. Many of us see ourselves in Lindsay. Many of us know that we could have been only one step away from doing some of those horrific things because we experienced significant mental health issues after one of our children was born. And many of us know just how dark some of those thoughts get. So yeah, this is going to be one of the most significant trials of your lifetime.
I love that pause that she gives right there towards the very end, as if she's all of a sudden starting to realize, oh shoot, dang, what I just said sounds really insane. I hope my future boyfriend or husband don't see this. Oh my goodness. But she tries to talk about how everyone is just like one moment away from doing something terrible, and you know, all of that stuff that you hear a lot. And while I don't disagree with that notion right there are some problems with that. First of all, the law actually does criminalize that type of action. If you commit a crime, like let's say you murder someone out of a fit of rage or whatever, the law still does criminalize that. That's called third-degree murder right there. But of course, as I said earlier in this video, this was not just out of a fit of rage or anything like that. This was premeditated, because this woman, Lindsay Clancy, she waited until her husband left the house, and she even tried to commit suicide to take her own life. All of that to me sounds premeditated. And remember, she even tracked his ETA of how long he was gonna take to go to the grocery store and how long it was gonna take for him to get back. So she even planned all that out right there. So to me, that sounds premeditated. And then finally, the whole thing of, oh, we were having a bad day, so that's why we act out like that. I can tell you right now, when I worked in retail, because I used to work in retail, and this was a common excuse I saw from customers every single time to justify their bad behavior. And ever since then, I have absolutely no tolerance for that. I have absolutely zero tolerance for anybody that says that they treated somebody in a terrible way, or they acted in a terrible way, or they did something that was truly terrible because they were having a bad day. That to me is just one of the worst excuses you could possibly give at all. So to me, that actually makes it even worse right there, that this woman was supposedly having a terrible time, and yet she decided to take all of it out on her 3 children. Remember, the oldest of the 3 was only 5 years old. I think the youngest was still a baby, and she decided to kill all 3 of them. Like, what are you talking about? That's not an excuse. None of that is an excuse. And yes, of course, I will get to the whole thing of medications and the depression that she was in. I will get to that soon. But just responding to this video, that's an absolutely terrible excuse to give for why someone would commit such a heinous crime. I think the spouse did it all and drove her to think she did it. Oh, here we go again. Another person who believes the conspiracy theory that the husband was apparently behind this all. And here's the thing, I'm getting conflicting reports about the husband. I've heard some people say that he was like neglectful and that he wasn't that good of a dad. But I've heard some people say that he was a good dad and that he was there for the children. So I'm not too sure who to really believe right there. But even then, this comment is still wrong, because as I will continue to say, the defense is not arguing that she is innocent of killing her 3 children. They're just arguing the motive behind it. Remember that's the important thing in this whole trial. That's what's so important, is that they're not trying to deny that she did it. They're instead just trying to justify the reasoning. They're just trying to give a motive behind it, so that then they could probably let her off loose, or probably just put her in a mental hospital, and that's it. But this is an absolutely crazy comment right here. And trust me, there are a lot of people out there that legitimately believe that the husband was behind it. And you know, this kind of goes into a further point that I was kind of thinking about when looking at this trial, because a lot of people have pointed out that the whole like true crime community is kind of just becoming so dumb, to put it simply, that there's no other way to put it. So apparently there's a lot of podcasts out there that focus on nothing but true crime, and essentially what starts to happen is that they develop these communities where a lot of people just follow these podcasts and they try to like solve the case themselves. And typically what ends up happening is that they think that the perpetrators in these crimes are people that are different from what the actual police have in custody. So it ends up just being completely counterproductive, and I really don't know what's the intention behind it. I don't really know how people become so into it, because it was funny because someone started to bring it up to me not too long ago, and I kind of started to realize, like, yeah, that's actually kind of weird that people are so into like true crime podcasts and things like that. It's like, wait, what? You like crimes happening to people? You like people being victims of crimes? Like, that sounds so weird right there.
Descendant, IC, Vertex, and all the houses. I need birth time. So like not all of these aspects are necessarily true, because all those points, we don't really know. I just put it at noon. But first of all, I need to show. Okay, so notice anything here? She's got a North Node Aquarius, South Node Leo. She's in her nodal return right now.
It's been a while, but I have to pop on here just to say that I've been following this Lindsay Clancy trial, especially as a mother of two who dealt with a lot of postpartum mental illness. And, just following all their birth charts and birthdays and zodiac signs. He did it. He did it. He did it. He's a Gemini man. His birthday is June 15th. I'm a Gemini woman. My birthday is June 14th. Let me give you another example of who a Gemini man is. Also birthday June 14th. Men and women are different. Keep that in mind. Please don't judge me. Donald Trump. Patrick did it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that's going on for this trial online, is that people are trying to figure out who the murderer is through astrology and your zodiac signs. And apparently they're coming to the conclusion that it was the husband that did it. And I just gotta say, this obsession of trying to solve crimes through astrology is just so stupid. It's so stupid. And what's crazy is that there's a lot of people out there that actually use astrology to basically dictate everything. Like, they will literally go as far as to say, like, oh, I'm not gonna date you because you weren't born on the same astrology or zodiac sign as me. And it's just like, wait, what? Like, how do you even know that we're not fit for each other? But although I will say, if somebody actually uses that reasoning as to why they don't want to date you, you probably just dodged the bullet, if I'm being truly honest. But you know what this also reminds me of? This also reminds me of, does anyone remember those Idaho murders that happened back in 2022 or 2023, where these 4 college students were viciously murdered by this one guy? And he's actually already pleaded guilty to the crimes. But there was this one lady on TikTok that was actually trying to solve the murder through astrology signs, and she started to say that it was this teacher at the school that was behind the crimes, and she started to really push it to the point where the teacher that was at the same college started getting a lot of harassment from the people online. And apparently that lady ended up getting sued because, of course, it's defamation, and she was literally tainting her name or tarnishing her name all over astrology signs, which is just, it's so stupid. I can't tell you how stupid I think astrology and zodiac signs are. And of course, we have to bring Donald Trump into here, because why not? The mental load she carried, and all women, especially moms, carry, is real. Even with 3 kids at home and postpartum psychosis, he called her from CVS to ask her what drug to buy. Like, dude, can't even be gone for 5 minutes while asking what aisle to go down. Like, damn! Women be snapping. Men need to grow the F up. Yeah, maybe the reason why he was calling about which drugs or medicine to buy is because clearly this woman was not right in the head, and very clearly she was on a bunch of medication. Everyone's been saying that this woman's been on a bunch of medication, on a bunch of drugs. So maybe the reason why he was calling her about that was to make sure he got her the right medicine and didn't get her the wrong medicine, because you do realize how dangerous that is if you get someone the wrong type of medication. So maybe he was calling her for that. But then again, you're also overlooking the big picture, which is that, and this was actually something that I found out. So I'm actually recording this over the span of a few days, and apparently I actually found out more about this case, that this woman actually did not have her husband go to a grocery store. Apparently she actually had him go to a restaurant to pick up an order, because again, and this was something I mentioned earlier, was that she tracked the ETA of how long it was gonna take for him to go to the restaurant and come back, and clearly determined that that was enough time to kill all 3 of her children. That, in my opinion, is not insanity or psychosis or whatever you want to call it. That is clearly premeditated murder right there. That there's no other way to frame that right there. But it's absolutely crazy that people are trying to say that the guy, by calling his wife, somehow caused her to snap. Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And again, I said this previously, that the whole idea of, I'm having a bad day, I'm going through a tough time, so I'm going to use this as an excuse to treat someone terribly, or to take my anger out on somebody, or to just snap like this woman did. That's an absolutely terrible and horrible excuse. And if anything, that actually makes me even less sympathetic towards Lindsay Clancy. But like I said, there's more posts and videos like this.
The Clancy case. I've already gone over the forensic astrology charts that show that the perpetrator is a male, the perpetrator is having an affair, and that the victims specifically Lindsay, was drugged during this. And I've also gone over with the theory and the lie detection.
First of all, I love how this woman calls herself a forensic astrologer death investigator. Like, what the heck is that right there? What, like, I cannot believe that people actually take all this astrology and zodiac signs thing so seriously. Like, guys, can we just put a rest to that? And not only that, the fact that this woman calls herself an investigator, a death investigator, while using astrology to figure cases out, like, these people take themselves way too seriously. And that kind of leads into my next point, in that this woman is trying to say that, oh, the killer is clearly a man and is clearly having an affair, and that Lindsay is the victim in this case. When, again, I'm going to continue to repeat this. The defense isn't even trying to deny that Lindsay did it. They're not even trying to deny that. What they are instead trying to argue is the motive and reasoning for doing it, which in their case, they're trying to say it was the medication and psychosis that caused it. They are not denying that she did it. That's the important thing. But apparently this woman doesn't believe it. And the sad thing is that a lot of people on the internet are like this. There are so many people out there on the internet that would say things like, oh, if you have evidence to prove me wrong, then show it. Show me the evidence. And you show them the evidence, but they will literally deny just so much. And it's to a point where it's like you could just tell that none of these people actually want to have their minds changed. They are completely closed-minded, and there's nothing that you can do to change their minds. Like right now, this woman right here, this forensic astrologer death investigator, there is nothing you can say to change your mind. She is full on committed into believing that, oh, the killer was a guy who was having an affair. And basically, you know, again, trying to say that it was the husband that did it, when, again, let me say this right now, the defense team is not trying to deny that Lindsay did it. And there's also other things as well, that the husband was out and about when the murders happened. And it's just so disgusting to just see how people are, it's almost as if they're trying to distort what is good and decent, and just all that stuff right there, where I never thought I would see the day where people are actually trying to defend somebody who openly murdered their children. And I'm gonna talk more about this later on in the video, towards the very end. You'll see when. I know it feels like it now, but you're not alone, Lindsay. Your emotions and love for your babies is felt through the screen, from one mom who's been through psychosis to another. I just want to wrap my arms around you and shower you with love and support. You are a wonderful mom. It wasn't you that day. It may have been your body, but it certainly wasn't your mind or thoughts from a Kentucky mom. What the heck am I reading? Okay, so, oh my gosh, this is absolutely one of the most insane posts I've ever read. But you know what? As I was doing this video, there were two cases that actually came to mind, and I wanted to bring them up now to show you just how twisted we have become as a society. Does anyone know who Chris Benoit and Chris Watts are? They are, wait for it, two fathers who both killed their wives and children. Both of them killed their wives and children. And I would say in the case of Chris Benoit, he was a WWE wrestler that ended up killing his wife and his youngest son, and then ultimately ended up committing right after that. And it turns out that when he died, it turns out that he was actually suffering from CTE, which is a very severe form of brain damage. But yet, here's a challenge I have for you. I challenge you to find anybody that is actually sympathetic towards those two. Find me one person that is actually sympathetic to, especially Chris Benoit. That guy, just like Lindsay Clancy, had severe brain damage at the time when he murdered his wife and his youngest son, and even took his own life after that. Yet nobody showed him any sympathy. Everyone unanimously called him a monster, and rightfully so. Yet for some reason, we are showing Lindsay Clancy all this support. And I can't even imagine right now all of these women that are right outside the courthouse that are showing Lindsay Clancy support. I can't even imagine what they would be thinking if, let's say, Chris Benoit Benoit didn't kill himself, and let's say both Chris Benoit and Chris Watts were both on trial, and a bunch of men started showing up right outside the courthouse to support them, I cannot even imagine how any of these women would feel. Like they probably want to leave their spouses right away if they caught their spouses supporting these people, which rightfully so, which, you know, I'm guessing the same should happen the reverse. You know, if you're related to any girl that is supporting Lindsay Clancy, please just leave her. Just leave her. There's plenty of fish out there in the sea. But yeah, but it's truly insane how someone like Chris Benoit, and by the way, I'm not saying that these guys deserve sympathy or anything like that. Like, and I'm not saying that at all. I'm just simply pointing out the double standard, how someone like Chris Benoit kills his wife and his child, commits suicide. It turns out that he actually had CTE, which again is a very severe form of brain damage, yet he gets no sympathy, whereas Lindsay Clancy is getting all this sympathy. It's just absolutely insane and just blows my mind.
I'm telling you all right now, when the South Node goes into Cancer in March of 2028, the South Node is going to transit over Patrick Clancy's moon in Cancer. He's going to be having eclipses over his natal moon.
Bitch, what you want? Oh my god. So apparently now this lady is using astrology to predict when certain people are going to develop diseases or what type of disease they're going to develop, which, by the way, let me just say, I think a while ago I actually heard a statistic that actually said that half of all men will deal with cancer at some point in their lives, which is just, wow, what a truly stunning prediction to make right there. To make the prediction that a guy is going to deal with cancer at some point in their lives. One of the most common diseases and one of the most common forms of death for all disease-related deaths in not just the United States, but the entire world. So, wow, what a truly incredible prediction to make by this lady. But here's the thing. All of these posts right here, for the most part, most of them are being said by women who are most likely, let's face it, most likely are single, alone, and that's it. But what I'm about to show you next is quite possibly one of the most disturbing trends I have ever seen. And let me just paint the picture for you. What would you do if you found out that when you were a baby, your mother sympathized with a murderer, sympathized with another mother who murdered her own children, and posted a video of her sympathizing for that other woman who murdered her own children while holding you in her arms? How would that make you feel? Well, yeah, you can kind of see where I'm going with this.
Indicated further on into her travels, I am completely overwhelmed trying to take care of the kids. I'm drowning every day. I feel guilty that I'm spending my family's money and not making any. I feel like I spend way too much. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
I'm terrified of Callan getting sick. He's a sick baby. A sick baby is miserable. He's sick now with a double ear infection. Clearly has a bellyache. It's miserable. I feel like the other kids are going to get...
Okay, we're going to stop that clip right there because honestly, that's hard to watch. Just watching that clip right there was one of the hardest things I had ever seen. It's honestly just insane just how difficult it is for me to get through that right there. But I can't even imagine what I would do if I knew that my mom had done something with me like that when I was a baby. And honestly, if I was a husband and I saw that my wife was doing it with my child, making a video sympathizing for another woman that murdered her own children while posting a video with her own child, with our own child, like, I'm divorcing that woman, I'm taking custody of the children, just all that right there. And like I said, just watching that clip is so difficult to watch. And in case you don't know what's going on, basically that background audio that you hear, I think that's the attorney or that's the defense attorney. I'm not too sure who it is, but they're reading a journal from Lindsay Clancy. They're reading a journal from her, and that's basically what they're reacting to. They're reacting to the clip of when the journal was read out loud in the court. And like I said, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to watch. I cannot believe how difficult that was. But hey, you know what? At least you can make the argument that these are all small accounts and like small nobodies that are doing this. I mean, surely nobody with a large podcast is going to be siding with Lindsay Clancy. Am I right?
I made my thoughts clear on this the moment that she
was arrested, the moment that it made the news. Lindsay Clancy is obviously not guilty. There are a fleet of doctors who should be imprisoned for what they put her on. I regularly speak out against Big Pharma. They get away with murder all the time. And in this case, they are getting away with the murder of really her 3 children, but also completely destroyed her life. When Lindsay Clancy, in my opinion, is not guilty. She was put into an intentional psychosis when she probably just needed to give her kids away for a weekend to get better, but they constantly give you these drugs that do not make things better. And the cocktail of 10 pharmaceuticals that she was on is absolute madness. Absolute madness.
Well, can we expect much from the woman who actually claimed that her podcast is the platform of God because of how many views she is getting? Yes, she actually did claim that, as if God is just up there just deciding that, hey, he wants to dedicate certain people to create podcasts for him because that's what God does. Like, oh my goodness, it's so stupid. But I want to talk about the whole medication thing that people keep on bringing up. Because here's the thing. Like, people keep on bringing up the medications that this woman was on to justify her action. Which, first of all, I bring up Chris Benoit. Again, I'll bring up Chris Benoit. That guy literally had CTE. That guy literally had brain damage. Yet nobody sympathizes for him and what he did. And here's a point that I want to bring up. How many mass shooters were on medication when they committed their atrocities? Dozens of them were on medication when they did what they did. Yet, do we at all sympathize with them one bit? Do we at all make them out to be the victims? No. Not one bit. Not one bit. If you actually try to make a mass shooter out to be the victim after their atrocity, you would just get expunged from society. You would just get expunged from society. Like, you would not be allowed ever to come back into society. And so it's crazy how we're extending this grace to Lindsay Clancy. It's just one of those things where it just blows my mind how many people are sympathizing for her. And again, people try to bring up the postpartum like psychosis or whatever, which again, first of all, I'll bring up again, how many mass shooters were on medication when they committed their atrocities? And then Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit was literally on CTE. He literally had CTE when he committed his atrocities, and yet nobody sympathizes for him. And then not only that, when you're on medication, the thing is that you realize there are other things that could also alter your behavior or alter your senses as well. Like, for instance, do we at all make any excuses for drunk drivers? When drunk drivers go out and kill somebody in their accidents when they're drunk, do we at all make excuses for them? No, we don't. We don't make excuses for them, even though in that case, you could literally argue that the accident would not have happened if the driver wasn't drunk. You could literally argue that right there. But we don't make excuses for drunk driver. We just throw them in prison immediately. But yet, for some reason, with this woman, we're making all types of excuses. And I think that's just kind of the reason why I wanted to make a video about this, is that, in my opinion, it just feels like there's this really weird distorting of like what's good and decent, and trying to make what's good and decent out to be bad, and making what's bad and wrong out to be good. And it's just like, you know, when I was watching these clips and reading these posts, I just felt something wrong in my spirit. Like I felt something wrong in my spirit. And it's just so crazy that there are people out there who are actually justifying this and actually going as far as to literally go right outside the courthouse to actually show their support for this lady when she doesn't deserve it. And, you know, I made this comparison earlier in the video, but I actually realized that it's the wrong comparison, because I compared her to EDP and like the support that he got. But no, but this is way different, because while yes, EDP still has gotten some support since he got outed as a predator, the support that he's gotten is nowhere near the support that Lindsay Clancy has gotten for her atrocities. And again, let me just remind you that all 3 of her children were all 5 years and younger, the youngest one being just 8 months old. And it's crazy that people are actually sympathizing for this woman. Like, that's crazy right there. However, as if the videos and posts weren't enough to make you lose faith in humanity, I do have some really bad news. And you're not gonna believe this, but unfortunately I have to give it to you straight. And that is that there is a chance that Lindsay Clancy could actually get off scot-free. And to put it simply, The reason is because there actually is a legal precedent for letting mothers who kill their own children off scot-free. It's actually happened on 2 occasions that I can think of where a woman killed her children and she was just sent to a mental institute, and that's it. And I think in one of the cases, they actually deemed her able to be released and be freed, but the woman for some reason just decided to stay in there. And I don't know why she did that, but I just want to let you know about that, because I don't want you to get your hopes up high that this one will actually face justice. Like, I just want to let you know that there is actually a chance she could get released scot-free. And from what I'm hearing, the attorney is actually doing a really good job at representing her. So it's like there is a chance she could get released. So just want to let you know about that, so that way you don't get your hopes up too high in this whole situation. But yeah, just what a truly awful and horrendous situation. And I feel, of course, terrible for the children that lost their lives. They won't even know how truly amazing life is. And I feel terrible for the husband, that the husband just basically had his whole world shattered, and there's actually people online trying to blame him, even though he did nothing wrong. He did absolutely nothing wrong. And like I said, there's many people trying to say that he was like a terrible husband or whatever and all that stuff right there. Like, I'm hearing some people say he's a terrible husband and that's it. I'm hearing other people say that no, he was a good husband. So it's like, okay, so it's one word against another. I'm not going to take much account into that right there. I can only just feel bad for him that his whole world was just shattered by this really hideous action by his own wife. But that's going to be it for today's video. I just wanted to talk about this whole situation because of how crazy it was, and hopefully you didn't lose too much faith in humanity after watching this video. I do want to make some announcements for the channel, and the first is that yes, I am still working on the 3 videos that I had been talking about, and I'm sorry that it's taken me so long. Like, I myself am kind of shocked at how long it's taking me. Like, this first one that I'm working on, it's probably gonna be about 2 hours long. Like, that's how long this video is, and it might be a little bit outdated, but I don't care. I'm still gonna go through it making it, since I love talking about this topic so much. But the next thing that I want to talk about is that football season is coming back, which means it's time to bust out this bad boy again. And I will be making a video where I predict the Chargers' upcoming season. I didn't want to make it when the regular season schedule for the Chargers initially dropped, because I just felt like there was a long ways from then till now to where there's just so many things that could happen, and I just thought it was pointless to make the video then. But since the regular season is only about 2 weeks away from starting, you know, now's the perfect time to actually make that video, and that's what's going to be my next video. So I can actually promise that my next video will actually be my season prediction of the Chargers. And of course, as you guys know, I will be making Chargers content all throughout the entire regular season. And let's just say it's not looking good for the Chargers to start this season off. But yeah, I will be making videos for the Chargers, and it's actually crazy to think that this is going to be the 2nd season now that I will be making the Chargers. And at some point during this season, I will actually be reaching my 1-year milestone of when I started this channel. So that is actually pretty crazy to think about right there. But yeah, I just wanted to give those little updates to the channel. I am still working on the videos that I was talking about. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, even though it really did make me lose a lot of faith in humanity. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe, and also comment as well. Please do all 4 of those things, because that helps the algorithm push this video out there. So yeah, please do all those things, and I'll see you guys next time.